Hello to one and all. Welcome back to the GSN news show with me, Victor Halthorpe, and
Mitch Whitmore.
We're happy to have you here because this might be the most news-packed episode we've ever done.
It's a ton of stuff has happened over the past couple weeks, including
two
unofficial but world records that happened in Insel. Short track World Cup has happened.
And also
some other drama around the short track world has happened. A lot of crazy things. So let's dive right in. Let's talk about that world record.
Yeah, that was impressive.
Crazy. So if you haven't seen yet, Davide Giotto, 12:26. So kicking Nils off the top rung there.
4 seconds.
4 seconds. And it's in October. I think the craziest part is that there's no way he was tapered and ready to compete there. And so, one, that's a testament to his abilities at the moment. Obviously on good form. He also skated a 6:10 the day before. Not too shabby. And yeah, sets a world record. Also to the ice conditions because,
yes,
I mean,
it wasn't a quad as well.
Fast quad. Which a quad would count for a world record. I verified the rules on this. The reason why it doesn't count as a world record is they did not have doping control there. So you need to be drug tested within a certain amount of time if you set a world record, and they didn't have anybody. So
I'm sure this leaves Giotto with some really solid motivation going into the World Cup with the 10K later in the season.
Seemingly, if you can do it at this time of year, at another point in his career, he'll have an opportunity on some pretty darn good ice as well. The other person that set a world record was Matode Gilek, Czech kid. He is a junior. He set the junior world record by a mile.
Also, 9th fastest time ever among seniors in the history of the sport.
Crazy. A mile, by the way, is like 50 kilometers. But what he said it by 18 seconds, I think.
No,
ish.
It was by 18 seconds.
18 seconds.
That's more than half lap.
Yeah, bonkers. But he went 12:46, so really only 20 seconds, but 20 seconds off of a senior world record now.
What's very interesting about his 10K I found is that you can still tell he's new to this sport. If you look at the lap times, they are all over the place. He starts out pretty damn fast and then goes into 31s, which is more than a second off his average lap pace, and then just crushes it, ends with 29s.
Yeah.
Like all over the place, but still manages to break the world record by half a lap.
You know, I feel like that does happen sometimes with people that are newer to ice, like when they come over from inline.
Michael.
The pacing, exactly. Chad. The pacing is all over the place. Or even some of those marathon skaters, which was surprising. I mean, the one guy with the wildest stand start.
29 in the middle of it.
Because he doesn't know what he's doing. He just is like a little uncomfortable. But Matode is a little bit different. His 1500 is already really solid. And has a great feel. Again, we talked about him as medaling at winning Junior Worlds on inlines, even after a crash. So pretty good speed skater overall. But it also sounds like he's trained by his dad for the most part. And to set multiple world records on the same day. What do you think about the ice? And do you think Insel is the fastest place in the world now?
I think for long distances, on a given day, Insel can be the fastest ice in the world, yeah. I still think if Salt Lake hits the perfect air pressure, World Cup ice conditions, it's hard to beat. I also do think that Herrenfing with the perfect air pressure can get pretty close. But Insel does really have more air than what's considered high altitude rings, Calgary, Salt Lake, Rumkey. But it is still really fast because it's far higher than sea level.
Yeah, we had a good debate on the last discussion, and thanks for all the comments on there about people's opinions and the different studies that they've seen on that. What is the biggest factor? Altitude, air pressure. But it seems like in quads, on a good day, and I also had heard that the German team or the German organization made a good push because Insel used to be the place in Europe where everybody went because it was super fast, and over the past 5+10 years, it really hasn't been a great place except on a random day. Yeah, a random day. Okay, they put a lot of effort in.
But that was crazy because I just came back from Insel. I went there for 3 days, skated my national team trials, and I didn't find it particularly fast. And I was told that it was 12 degrees Celsius colder than the weekend prior. 12 degrees Celsius.
When you first said that, I thought Fahrenheit, but 12 degrees Celsius is quite a bit.
That's insane. So
That's
that
crazy.
obviously makes sense in terms of warm up. In terms of when I skated, there was 4 people entered for the event.
Right. Yeah.
For this week prior, it was Romanian championships, there was Italian championships, Swiss championships, German championships. There was more than hundreds of skaters. So that was interesting. But what was really interesting is that we had one of you guys help us out here that showed or shared some studies on what actually makes ice faster, and concluded that the 2 factors that have the biggest impact is the temperature, the air temperature, and the air pressure. Now I do still think like it really comes down to if you don't know how to make the ice, if the Zamboni breaks down, it'll probably impact it.
Yeah.
But those were the 2 main factors, more than quad versus pair, more than the ice thickness. That was interesting to me.
Yeah, and there's a lot that goes into making quality ice, and I think Paul, Shane here in Salt Lake City does a great job. He doesn't work at the Oval anymore, but Paul in Milwaukee I think is maybe the best in the world at making that ice just perfectly smooth.
Yeah.
Now Milwaukee is super reliant on air pressure as well, or on air pressure that day. And so, unfortunately, our air pressure there was really high during trials, but still, can put down some fast times.
But a good way to tell it is you can tell the difference between race days and practice days. Same for Milwaukee. The same in Insel here. Like, wow.
And a big reason is the heat, like you talked about. The heat in the building. In Milwaukee, obviously, there's some air flow, but that is the heating for the building.
Yeah.
So the hot air is just pointed in the right direction. You want more heat in the air to make the ice faster. Also, thinner makes it so the ice is cleaner because they have it built up so it gets dirty on top.
Yeah.
And then during races, they shave it down so it's smooth. All those little hair particles or dirt makes you slower. It's a very fine sport, and you want to go on the smoothest surface. So well, there's a lot that goes into it. The sharpness of the blade on how choppy it is or whatever. So it's quite a science that they've come up with.
But one thing's for sure, it was fast in Insel here. But fast or not, what is really interesting is the first time we have not just seen somebody be within or anywhere near the level that Nils van der Poel had for long distance ice skating. We've seen a person beat him, and we've seen a junior come scary close.
Yep.
Just to give you an example, Nils's previous track record from Insel was only 4 seconds faster than Messeday skated.
Yeah.
So he's coming in fast.
Pretty insane. It was pretty shocking to see that a world record just right out the gate. So very excited to see how it progresses throughout the rest of the season.
Yeah. They also had trials up in Norway. Those were clearly won by 3 skaters, I would say. Ragnar Wiklund still skates super well. She's where she needs to be. Sander Eitrim.
This is something I had written down as well.
Yes, he is in his own league right now.
Incredible. And I know you had mentioned earlier in just a time trial he was pretty solid, but what he did this weekend was very impressive. Just the gap ahead of everybody in the 1500 5K and then 10K. The 1500 is something that Petter is, I believe, the only person that beat Jordan Stolz last year. Petter Kongshog.
Yeah.
Only person that beat Jordan in a 15 last year. And Sander just beat him at their trials. Now he's probably not tapered and ready for trials like he will be for World Cups, but still to get beat and then also beat by a lot in that 5K, and then Sander crushed his 10K.
I think, you can just look at
really good.
Who ranked second in these distances and how much did Sander beat them by. Because the 5K, he won by 13, 14 seconds, half a lap. And this is against people like Helgier Engebroden that just medaled at the Worlds all around. He medaled at the Olympics in this distance. And then in the 10K, he lapped the second best skater. And that was the guy, Sigurd Henriksen, that had the 10K, junior 10K world record that just got beat. And he lapped him. So whether Sander is just in his own league or if the Norwegian team is not doing particularly well,
based on the times in the rinks that they're at, I really think that he is just on a different level. It seems like, and there was mention that they purposely also made their ice better
through crowdfunding. They
pretty cool.
Simply just gathered that money to pay for the rink to be warm.
I like it because it does cost a lot of money. Like we talked about with the heat, heat costs money. So But I still think, regardless, the times he's putting out there, really at any rank are fast.
Yeah.
But we know that the Norwegian ranks are not the fastest.
Yeah, for sure.
But
Sander Eitermes, yes.
More power.
And then for the men's sprint, Bjørn Magnussen became the only third Norwegian ever to go under 35 seconds in a 500 meter on Norwegian soil, skating a 34.92.
Is that true?
Yeah.
Only the third.
Can you guess the other two?
Yes, I can. Lorentzen
and
Espen.
Yes.
Yes. Espen Vahn.
But that is pretty impressive.
Yep.
That is good company.
Yeah.
To be
very cool. No, and he also won by quite a ways as well. But yeah, 34.9 there is not bad. Again, also for this time of year, that's something that needs to be recognized as, at this time of year for people that are going to be in that top end of the A group. that it's not their focus to be super fast at these trials competitions, but when they are, like we talked about before, the baseline is something that's really nice to see that they can bounce up from.
That's actually true. That makes it even more impressive that they're so far from the rest, because you would assume the people that are like, can I make it into the top 3, top 4 and actually get a spot at the World Cup, they are giving everything right now, where Sander's like, that's just another workout. Same for Bjørn, same for Rocky.
Exactly. Prime example, Jordan Stolz 2 years ago at Junior Worlds. He only won the 500 by 100th at Junior Worlds. Then 2 weeks later at Worlds, after he stopped training super hard, he wins the 500 by a half a second at Senior World Championships. So it really shows what can happen for some people when they taper and have the program dialed in correctly.
There is one team, a very significant team, that has yet to have their national team trials, the Dutch.
Yeah, and we also just got news that Patrick Roost is not going to be competing at these trials, so therefore not the first 2 World Cups. Now, it's not as impactful as other seasons in the fall because there are only 2 World Cups in the fall. The rest of the 4 will be in the spring, basically all leading up to the World Championships. So, the Dutch generally skip 1 or 2 World Cups anyways, so they can get more training time in.
Usually the ones in Asia, so convenient.
Yeah. So it's not the worst case scenario, but also still strange that he's not going to be competing at their championships, opening up spots for others.
Yeah.
For an interesting reason, it seems like wisdom teeth is what it got out. The translation thing's not always the best. But
let's hope it's not the best translation.
But still dealing with headaches and some jaw pain. But still surprising to me that that's enough to take you out of the championships.
It will be interesting because the 2-3 other main guys here in the men's distance sides have all shown they're really taking a step up. Whereas, we can't blame Patrick because he's not racing here, but the only race he's done, he did not win. Marcel Bosker beat him in that 3K.
Right.
So we don't really know where he's at yet.
Yeah, and he's not the only one that's not going to be racing at the trials. We've heard that Femke Kok is also out. The translation was herpes of some sort. I don't know if I would have posted that on social media. But some sort of virus is keeping her feeling a little down, so she won't be racing. And then Kjeld is not going to be... Oh, we don't know. I think it was up in the air as to whether...
It's uncertain if he's entered, Wow.
So we're getting news left and right that people are dropping out. So Regenborg, from their extreme dominance last year,
I think
off to a rough start.
We did name an episode just about 12 months ago. Regenborg 1, Jumbo 0.
Yeah.
And right now, Jumbo doesn't exist, but Essent is definitely the favorite going into these trials. With Chris Huizinga doing phenomenally, with them getting Schulting on the team that's posting some mid-38s. Seems like they have the upper hand right now.
Yep, for sure. And speaking of Essent as well, Joop Wannemars, who we talked about on an earlier episode about getting surgery. We didn't want to think that it was too serious, and it was not too serious because he's already back racing, and he'll be at trials too, and skating a 108 in hair and vein already. So
surgery went well.
Not to be worried. But again, that is this weekend, starting tomorrow, so will be interesting to keep tabs on where everybody's at.
So moving on to the 2 other disciplines, inline skating and short track. They have one thing in common. It's not a positive thing, but the headline for both of these gotta be cancellations.
Yes. Oh my gosh. We'll get to the racing a little later. there was some really good racing. However, if you haven't heard, the short track World Cup that was supposed to be in Salt Lake City, along with the Four Continents Championships, the World Cup was moved. They kept the World Cup in Montreal for a second week in a row, and then the Four Continents was completely canceled. Now, the reason for this is the pad system in Salt Lake City was deemed not safe enough, which we're in Salt Lake City, and honestly, the pad system
I feel fine.
it's fantastic. I haven't ever heard of injuries that are happening on that. It's a boardless system. The pads are huge. Yeah. They move really well.
We test them on a weekly basis.
Yeah. It's crazy to think that they're not up to standards, and those pads are crazy expensive, hundreds of thousands of dollars to get a new pad system. So it's not like this is just some easy purchase. Now, we don't know where the kink was that caused this to happen, whether the pads were ordered too late, whether it was the manufacturer didn't get the pads here on time, the new regulation pads. But basically they didn't find out until about a week ahead of time. The team leaders in Montreal at the Short Track World Cup decided we're going to stay here because it's not safe in Salt Lake City. And so then they stayed. Now, personal feeling is that I think people just didn't want to travel again. I think that's a big part of it. You cannot tell me that the place where the U.S. team trains every day, people are going plenty fast out there, is not a safe enough environment. We don't have injuries left and right that are due to pads. So I don't know. And now it's a huge deal and a big loss of money for somebody.
Including spectators. If you go on the ISU website and look at this announcement and look in the comment section there's hundreds of people that had booked their flights. Some from Montreal, but also some just specifically to go to Salt Lake City, booked the hotel, booked everything.
I mean, think about Ariana Fontana and Anthony. They had, so she skated the Italian trials over there, which we'll talk about too. Was planning to fly back to Salt Lake City. And changed flights and all that to go to Montreal instead. So it was a big, big change. And again, only 1 week out is the crazy part. So someone's gonna be in trouble.
Somebody has to be fired. I don't know who, but it's somebody.
And I hope it's not US Pizza or the Oval. But
anyways, they ended up still skating. I do think we were pretty good at calling out who would do well, who wouldn't. We did say Canadians would nail it. They definitely did.
Also, they got a second weekend in a row.
They did.
Not so fair.
Some more home ice.
But they did extremely well. They won, I think, 8 medals. And William Dangeneau, it looks like he's by far the best male skater out there. I think he won, at least he medaled in most of the races over the course of the 2 weekends. And so, clearly, to me, he's the one that's out front. All the rest are playing catch up. And then on the women's side, there's a ton to discuss. We were all excited that all the women would be back racing this year. Now, Ariana did not race the first weekend. She did race the second and was in the finals. Yeah. And then we're still missing Suzanne Schulting, who is actually racing long track now. Wondering if her foot or ankle is kind of the culprit, because it's a lot of extra pressure on short track. So maybe she's doing more of a shift for the time being. But she has also raced plenty of long track in the past. Yeah. So it's not like this is just some random switch.
She has a 113 to her name, so she's not a rookie.
Not too bad.
Either. Yeah.
Almost made the Olympic team, actually, in both. But yeah, the women's races were super exciting. Kristen is still looking really good. Yeah. But I'd say the front runner right now is Zandra. She's leading in the Crystal Globe. And
without skating 1500s.
Without skating 1500s. So she's only doing the distances, and she's getting a lot of points.
That's pretty well.
Yeah. Yeah. And then, other than her out front, is all the usual suspects from last year, plus Min Jung Choi is back out there. Corey's stepping up and is getting some medals. Hana. So yeah, it's a
lot of different people on the podium. It's pretty interesting.
So what did you think now that we've seen the suits in action?
I do think the suits are pretty cool. I like that, whoa. One thing that bothered me was when I saw the result list, I was thinking, who the heck's that? Because it did not say the country. It just said,
Ice Maples.
This logo and the Maples got second, or the Eagles got. And I mean, I can figure out who the Maples are. I can figure out who the Eagles are. But when it says the Loons, I don't even know what that is.
That was the Chinese.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
See? But then imagine you are Chinese and you see this loon written on the screen instead of your Chinese flag. So I think it was a little confusing, but maybe it's just a matter of getting used to it. I don't know.
I like the loons because it's, in English that sounds like you're crazy people. But now that I'm seeing the logos in action, I think the idea is good. And we actually had a couple comments on our YouTube that somebody didn't like it because it felt like it was too much of like the American sport system with the different logos, which I thought maybe was a positive for the ISU direction. Like sports in the US are more successful than anywhere.
Yeah.
The professional sports system,
Commercial.
they're great at marketing. The
Yeah,
event quality of things is fantastic. So that's something that speed skating desperately needs. So I think that is a positive thing if they make it seem like that. Again, it's still a little odd because it's full countries. It's not professional teams. But hey, if it's interesting and people like it, cool. I also found it weird that some countries did not have those suits.
Yeah.
Like including the US team did not wear the logo too. But then others had the giant thing. So it really confused me.
That was a lot. Yeah, because then if you have these like regulated logos, you would need to have some standards to tell whoever produces the suits, like they would have to look like this and that. It's kind of complicated when countries still have their suits made in different places.
Right.
I did also talk to the ISU and ask, because we did see some countries that simply just didn't have logos, and they said they only had the capacity to design suits for the top 30 ranked countries in last year's World Cup, which I also thought was a little... you gotta do it properly if we do it.
Yeah, because there's a couple people that are from small countries that are
not bad either.
Really good. Yeah, I hear you. But exciting stuff for short track for the most part. Really interested to see how the pad situation gets resolved. And I mean, I don't know how dramatic this does seem, but I'm wondering what the state of short track events in Salt Lake City is now that a lot of the world is probably going to be salty about how this shaped up.
Yeah, I mean, maybe they get a little more holding back next time Salt Lake asks if they can have a World Cup.
Yeah.
I could also easily see that they are in that meeting and somebody says those pads are not safe. Then I also wouldn't be the first team leader to go up like, we're fine. If something hard to happen, I would not want to be the dude that like, you know what?
Vouched for it.
Yeah.
Yeah. For sure. I think it would be...
It's hard,
It would be really hard to step up and say something against it because, liability. Yeah. However, they're safe.
Yeah, they're fine.
It's not the pads.
But it's the sport.
It's the sport.
From one cancellation to another, we've been talking a lot about the World Marathon Series on inlines, mostly because the prize purse is something we've never seen previously in inline skating, with literally hundreds of thousands of dollars. For a single win, it goes from $20,000 for the win down to all the way, everybody in top 20 gets $1,000 or more, and then the overall prize money and then the team overall prize money. The issue with this was that they also demand a lot of money for the hosting cities or organizations. So they ended up with a problem that only 2 cities actually wanted to host those events, and they had to make the World Championships a World Marathon Inline Series event, which was super weird, seeing half of them in national suits and half of them in team suits and half of them just whatever the heck they wanted to wear. Now, the last of these 3 that was supposed to happen in Havana in Cuba has now gotten canceled because of severe weather or hurricane warnings. And it has been postponed by more than a month. So it's now going to happen on December 8th, which is a bit like what happened on short track. People are finding out within a week. I mean, you can't really help this issue. Obviously, you can't skate in the middle of a hurricane, but it does make it hard when this is so far from the inline season. I have just been in Europe where most of these people are training, and it was snowing, so good luck training for it. And all the ice skaters are going to be really busy.
That's what I was going to add, was a lot of the top skaters are on ice now as well. So it's just going to be such a watered down competition that is also during the World Cups.
Yes. Trivia of the week. This week's trivia question. Yesterday, Gillick broke a junior world record. He also broke another world record, not as famous. The record for fastest 10K debut. The first 10K ever skated by a person. He broke that record by 12 seconds. The question here is, who had that record before this little Czech wonder kid?
That's a good question. I think first 10K and you go at 12:46 is wild.
Yes.
12:46 by itself as a senior is wild. But to do it as your first one while still a junior, very, very impressive.
That's pretty great. Last junior to break that record, that was Sven Kramer. And that was a lot slower than Methodey.
Yep.
The question is, who broke it or who had it before Methodey stole it?
But it'll be very interesting to see how this kid develops over the year, and if he's able to hit some podiums right away.
Yeah.
Because it sounds like he's racing senior World Cups.
That has been confirmed from him himself. Also, thanks Methodey, we know you're watching. He did like our title for the last show, so we'll make sure to give him a mention. As long as he keeps, breaking world records and stuff.
And then maybe post about us. And, people help people. Cool. I think that's all for our show today. But yeah, thanks for watching, comment, and do all that stuff. We really do enjoy the comments that we got back to this week, some of which we talked about today. So keep them coming.
We'll see you for the next show. We're going to go through the results from those and look ahead towards the long track.
Yeah, and we still have a couple other things to discuss from the last week or so. So plenty more to come, and we'll do another episode in a few days.
Stay tuned. Hit subscribe.